Welcome to another episode of The Final Third, where we talk everything soccer. Everything from actual playing soccer, coaching soccer, soccer entrepreneurship, everything soccer. Sometimes we even vary away from soccer, but you know, the overall tie here is soccer in the community, especially the Montgomery County area. So today I have a highly esteemed guest, Ele Margelos.
Hey guys.
Yeah, right. Okay, so Ellie's is an up and coming coach for Washington Adventist college in the area, and she's also a native from the area, right? So we're gonna get a chance to chat with her and see where she's at and where she came from and her humble beginnings and things like that. But in the meantime, just introduce yourself, Ellie. Tell us where you're from.
So my name's Ele Margelos, like you said. I am from Gaithersburg. Yep, Moco. I went to Quince Orchard High School. I played for Bethesda Soccer Club, and then I went on to D1 school, Gardner Webb University, and now I'm kind of getting into the coaching game.
Nice,
so, yeah,
nice. So, how was it? How was it growing up here and playing soccer?
It was good.
Yeah.
I think I kind of miss how we used to play back then.
Back in the day?
Yeah, back in the day. I thought it was more possession based. Yeah.
So what is it now? What do you think? How's it feel now?
I mean, if we want to be real,
we're all about being real on this show.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I don't think we can find raw talent. I don't think we have just athletes anymore. Soccer IQ, I think, has gone down a little bit. I'm not sure why. And I think it's more of a like kick and run. There's not a lot of patience in the game anymore. It's kind of like, we got to go forward. You know, I kind of miss the like, let's relax, let's keep it a little bit and then find the gaps and go. But that's just my opinion. So.
And is this an opinion based on just a general consensus? Or are you seeing this in specific teams in area or like clubs in the area, or is it just generally everybody's just kind of?
I would say specific teams.
Yeah.
This is personally, that I've seen, that I've been around. I'm not saying all the teams, but that's kind of what I'm noticing.
I'm not gonna disagree at all. I mean, not to say that I didn't think back in the day I still think back in the day they were doing kick and run, but especially the women's side back in the day I think was a lot more possession based without them even realizing it was very possession based,
right.
As compared to now. But I think it's all with the development. So take us back to your development. Growing up here playing for Bethesda, how was it? Were there great standout moments that were like, dang, soccer is everything and I'm going to be this great player? Or like, were there moments where you're like, yeah, you know, soccer's okay, and
You know, playing soccer or any sport at that matter, I think it's a roller coaster. It's up and down, you know. You have good moments, you know, like 2005, we won the state championship. And
oh, snap.
Yeah, that feeling. And like Quince Orchard High School, my sophomore year, we won the championship. And that is the best feeling in the world. And you never want to lose that. So that's why you keep going. You know, you want to win, obviously. So I think those are the ups, you know. But then sometimes, you know, you're in those lows. Like my first year in college, it was rough. The first, you know, month and a half, I would say, my touch was off. My confidence was low. I just wasn't, I don't know, something was off. I couldn't figure it out. Yeah. And I was like, is this really for me? You know, and I'm not a huge fitness person. You know, and I was like, dang, do I really want to do this for 4 more years? You have
to question yourself, right?
Yeah. So, you know, I think there's a lot of ups and downs, but the highs are like highs, you know, and that's kind of what got me going.
So now, if you don't mind, my question to you is your development at the club level and to a certain extent the high school level, did it do a good job of preparing you for what you would expect, what you saw at the college level? At the D1 level?
Yeah, I think so. I've had really, really good coaches. So it was my little U9 coach, U9, U10, Chris Clark. He died a couple of years ago, but he was, no worries, but he was one of my favorite coaches. He taught me everything. Yeah. He drilled in work ethic, discipline. If you're not here to get better, then kind of get off the field. And he taught me that at a young age. And that stuck with me, until this day. Yeah. And so I think that development with that coach taught me a lot, and that I could, bring that development into the next stage, into the Bethesda stage. And so, I learned some from Bethesda and kind of grew from there and there. So I think when I was younger, I got really, really good coaching. Yeah. Yeah.
And that's a general thing that I'm starting to see, or that I realize is really things that you learn, and I call these the golden ages, between the ages of 9 to 12.
Those are the most important years.
Everybody that I talk to, they're like, when I learned when I was 10 years old stood out to me so much that's what I follow till this day forward. They're not saying like what I learned when I was 16. Those are the golden ages. So I see these ages being downplayed a lot. And now that I am a coach, and now that I'm like in the soccer community a lot more, in the sense of not a player but somebody who's kind of coaching or consulting or things like that, I see this age groups being not necessarily downplayed, but overlooked for the potential of what you should be teaching them. I think right now you're seeing a lot more emphasis put on like the high school age, or even the college age, which I think a lot more focus and a lot more energy and a lot more of our resources should be going to that 9 to 12-year-old age. I mean, how do you feel about that?
I agree. I remember my coaches, at the younger ages. That's where, like I said, I learned everything from there. And yeah, I agree. I think it's all about when you start out. Yeah. Because it's working memory, that's where you get all the information at a young age, and you can carry that on.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. So,
let's fast forward. So you went through Bethesda. You guys were probably killing it, because I figured that like that era of soccer, Bethesda and the women's, you guys were killing. Were you in WAGS?
WAGS.
Division 1, I presume. Yeah. So you guys were probably bossing it up over there.
We tried.
You balled out there. You balled out at QO, clearly.
We weren't
won
bad.
state championships, right? So you go to a Division 1 school, and then you're like, oh my god, everybody here is fast. Everybody's here is strong. Right. This girl, the touches are even better. They're way more in shape. Yeah. How do I hang? How do I make myself stand out? What were the things what was your thought process when you first got there?
My thought process, I was like, oh crap. And this is advice that I tell young people. Be prepared to go in fall, because you're going to get your butt kicked. And I was not prepared. I was like, I'm just going to go in. And I regret that thought, immediately. Yeah. So be prepared. Yeah. And, my thought process, I was just like, I didn't really have one, to be honest. I just kind of wanted to go in. I hate not playing. So when I wasn't starting or playing really freshman year, that little section, that kind of motivated me. And I had teammates that just helped me get out of that funk. Yeah. But I worked at it. I did things behind the scenes. I worked with the assistant or the GA. And then finally I got my confidence back. And I just kept it rolling there. Right. And yeah.
It's crazy. I realized too in my soccer career, college, my sophomore year of college was when like the true foundations of my confidence was like shook, and like I've never been so like it was to the point where I was so scared to play sometimes. Like a ball would be coming with no pressure,
right?
And I will mistrap it.
Yeah,
and that never happens in my mind. Like normally, I'm thinking of like where I'm gonna go. I'm not thinking about the ball coming.
Right.
Like, and it was all a confidence thing because it's not like I'm not a good player because I am a good player. I proved it at higher levels than even what I was. Because even before I went to college, I was playing professionally. So coming into college, I was like, okay, I have nothing to worry about. I'm playing professionally.
Yeah.
But, you know, I get there and I'm having a rough time. I'm having a rough time gelling with the boys. I'm having a rough time fitting in. The school is not what I wanted it to be. I'm also recovering from an injury. So all these things are taking place. But of course, this isn't anything that I'm not used to because I've been through injuries before. I've been through playing in countries or places that I have no idea where I am. It's my first time there. But the one thing that I can say is around this age, for some weird reason, insecurities start to creep in. It's weird. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But one thing that I found for sure is and I tried different things. I tried, you know, talking to teammates. That worked for a while, but that didn't really, you know, it didn't really get that confidence back that I wanted. You know, working with assistant coaches and stuff. But the one thing that I knew that always worked, you know, or that had the highest chance of working was just working hard. Literally, like when I have a bad practice, the 30 minutes, 40 minutes at the end of practice, I'm doing full field suicides. You know, when I have a terrible game, after the recovery day, the next day, I'm either in the badminton room doing kicks off the wall or in the, what was it, racquetball room, freaking like touches for hours while everybody else is doing recovery sessions. Like, and I didn't learn that trait until my junior year of college. You know, imagine if I knew this when I was like in high school. So as coaches now, or now that you're a coach, and you look back and you're like, these are the things that I missed, that could have changed how, you know, how easy college would have been for me or how successful in college I would have been. What are the little things that you would implement in like somebody like you coming out of high school going into college?
Biggest thing that I tell everyone, make mistakes. I'm okay with people making mistakes. That's how we learn. And I think going back to kind of college is like, oh shoot, I'm at the higher level, I don't want to make a mistake. And I think that's where I'm a mind person too, you know, and that's where I think I got stuck as well. So I always say, make those mistakes. I want you to take risks. I like players to take risks at times. You know, I think players being comfortable, yeah, that's fine, but I want them to go ahead and take that defender on, isolate that defender and just go at them. You know, if you lose it, whatever, just win it back. So I always implement, you know, make mistakes. It's okay. Don't beat yourself up. Go to the next play. Things like that. And then, like we were saying before, just confidence on the ball. I really strive for people to have confidence on the ball. That's a huge thing as well. So
now let's talk about it from like the coach's point of view now. So you're a coach at a college, you know, women's coach at Washington Adventist, competitive program. You know, you have a team of girls and they struggle with their confidence. They struggle with, you know, not panicking in big games. They struggle with doing the simple things right, the stuff that they do at practice day in and day out, but then they get in the games and it's like, what the heck? What do you tell them? How do you get them out of that? How do you get them to start relaxing more? How do you get them to start doing the things that they know how to do, but they're just not confident enough to do it in a real game?
Well, that's a good question. All I can do really is just put in their heads, like, you have to try things, you know? You know, trust your ability, trust what you have and run with it. And, you know, it's my first year. So in the spring, we're going to work on, you know, technical things so they feel comfortable on the ball. But I just, you know, I'm always going to have confidence in my players if they don't think that. You know, it's constant positivity around them. They're a team that's, you know, kind of sensitive. So I kind of, you know, and I'm an intense kind of coach, but calm. So I kind of had to switch it around and just always be positive, you know, because if this is a team where if you're really, really negative, they're just not going to play.
Yeah, you could lose them for good.
Right. And so I think staying positive is the hugest thing.
There's a fine line you walk between positivity and also dropping standards.
Right. I agree.
You know, and that's a very, very scary line you walk on as a coach, because as soon as you start to do that, you could lose everything, dropping standards. But if your standards are too much and your players are uncomfortable and they feel pressured and they're not creative, they're not confident, then again you lose. You know, you don't get the productivity that you need. So as a coach, like, how do you like feel when you're tilting one way or another? Is there any way to really gauge it?
I can see everyone's body language. Yeah. So, for the most part, though, I want this team to compete. We need more bite. So it's a positive but intense, like, keep them at a high standard kind of vibe, I guess. And they do well with that. But if it becomes like a negative, they just shut down. They really do. So, you know, negative, I try to stay away from it, but I think it's good to balance it out. Because when they see the negative, though, it makes them fight a little bit. You know, it's hard with them. That's a good question. It's tricky. It's tricky.
As a and you said, like, it's your first year.
Yeah, you know, I got to feel them out a little more. Right. It's tricky.
3 years ago was my first year as a collegiate head coach. And I kind of went through that same thing too, where I was going through, you know, and it was also pretty worse for me because one, I'm an intimidating looking black guy. You know what I mean? Like, and so these girls are naturally, you know, timid or kind of scared of me to begin with. That's even before they make a mistake and I'm like, what the heck are you doing? Right? Yeah. Now, add that in with, you know, I naturally also have a high level of standards when it comes to soccer. You know what I mean? And you ask anybody that has played for me, it's like, yeah, my standards are like, you need to be here or else we're not accepting anything less. You know what I mean? And so I quickly learned that I had to adjust a lot, you know, not really dropping my standards, but adjusting in how I communicate and how these standards are supposed to be met. I think it just depends on what team you're coaching. Like this team, I have to break it down a little bit more. You know, I think it's going to be baby steps with this team, and that's fine. So like you said, it's really, really hard. And because I want it at that standard, you know, that high standard. But to be honest, I don't think we're there yet. And I think it's okay. It's room for growth. And that's the bottom line too. Improvement every year. And I'm not like a huge fan into stats, you know, and like I just want improvements individually and as a whole. And I think people get caught up in stats too. And that's just not that's just not what I'm into. I would that would be at a developmental level where you're talking 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, maybe even 15. It's like winning doesn't really mean much. We're just focused on getting you to progress, to develop, right? But then it sucks for us as college coaches because we're at a point where development is not really, it's either are you winning or are you not? If you're not, you're getting fired and we're putting in somebody that's going to win. Are your girls becoming All-American? Are they graduating? What are these? Or if you're not doing that, then we got to go find somebody else. So our positions, it's tough. You know what I mean? Because we would love to just say, you know what, let's just keep developing because it's there. We know we're good coaches. We know if we're given enough time, we're given enough resources, we can get these girls to where they're supposed to be. You know what I mean? That's no doubt. But at the position we're in, and let's be real, we're also at a position where we're not recruiting the best girls in the we are recruiting the best girls in the area, but we're not bringing them in. You know, we don't have the scholarships like half of these schools do. We don't have the names of the facilities like this big D1 school. So we're also stuck with what we have. You know, you get what you get and you don't get upset, whatever that thing is, right? So it's a really, really tough thing for us. One thing that I can say really, really helped me manage this dilemma is balance, especially in the staff. and the team. And I'll elaborate more on that. But first off, let me say, for us, it also sucks because this is something which needed to be addressed in those golden years that I was telling you about. Players' confidence, they're comfortable on the ball. This is where I see a huge problem with the development in this country, where you're getting coaches at this age groups that are more worried about winning than developing. So to the point that they're yelling at this kids like, why are we winning? Why aren't you shooting? Why aren't you doing this? Shoot the ball, kick the ball. What the heck? You're getting, parents that are on the sidelines like, kick the ball down there and score. Why are we building out the back? We just need to score. You're getting organizations that are taking kids that are 2 years older or playing them a year younger in tournaments and things where it's like, nobody really cares that much.
Right.
But what's that doing for the development of your program? You know what I mean? I
agree. Yep.
And so they're doing all these things wrong, and they're beating up their kids' confidence. If the kids don't win, they hear da 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 da, and then they get to the point now they're in college where their psyches are pretty much set in stone. It's going to be, unless you're some kind of high-level psychiatrist, you're not changing them from what they feel. And now you have to somehow, in a year or two, for me, only 2 years. For you, you luckily you get 4, but some of your players most of your players are transfer players. 2 years, you have to turn this whole thing around when they've had 18 years of that. You know what I mean?
It's hard to break those things.
It's extremely tough.
Yeah.
So the things that helped me, addressing this problem that you have with the confidence and also understanding the level of play, the level of players that you have, and also balancing your standards is all about how the dynamics and the balance of your team works. Now, the coaching staff is key. On the coaching staff, you definitely need an enforcer, and then you also need the compassionate, understanding, the one that they kind of gel, the one that they feel comfortable with. I mean, you could be both. If you have that kind of personality, you could be both. Most head coaches kind of have to be both. You need that. And then you also need just a kind of mediator, somebody that just goes in between the two, because you can't have too much compassion. You can't have too much stern. You need a mediator, right? So in my coaching staff, it took a while, but those are the dynamics that I strive to have every day. Every time we step on the training pitch.
Yeah.
It goes a long way.
I think we have a mix, which is good. So we have Coach Daniel, who's the goalie coach. He's more like the nicer, nicer coach. And then we have Coach Alex. And he's the more like, come on, more intense, I guess. Yeah. So... and then I'm kind of in the middle a little bit, it depends on the situation. It depends on the play. It depends, and just depends on the situation. But, I'm kind of in between.
Yeah. Like I said, most head coaches have to be in between.
If it's something that I have to, kind of get on you about, I'm going to do it. But... if I can see your body language, which that's a huge thing for us too, is body language. I have to make sure we fix it, so it's a lot of, again, back to the positivity. Let's move on, right? Let's forget it. So I'm kind of in between, so that's good. We're working with it. Yeah, we're working on it.
I think as soon as we made that adjustment, we can almost see instantaneous change in the body language and the dynamics, the overall vibe, the energy of the practices and the games was really huge. Now, Washington Adventist. Yes. How are you guys doing? What are your goals there? Shout out. What is it? Yes. WAU?
WAU. The Shock.
The Shock. Shout out to the Shock, man.
Promo.
I actually have a few girls who I have coached go there. Actually, one girl who was a phenomenal player for us this year will be going there next year.
Yeah, I'm really excited.
Tell us a little bit about Washington Adventist, like where you're headed, what you're trying to implement there, where you guys are coming from, and where you see you guys ending.
So I think this year, we'll just start with this year. Coming in, as a first year college coach, young, that in itself is pretty hard, because, I'm only I could only be four years older than them, So I started, I was like, I want their respect from the start. I said, I don't care if you like me Okay. But I'm your coach and you have to respect me. And that's one thing I really, really wanted to implement. So I think that was good.
Yeah.
And then, I'm just trying to teach them accountability, time management. It's not just the soccer aspect as well. It's the off the field stuff. So putting a study hall in place, academics, just being disciplined with your homework, and assignments. So respect, accountability, discipline, things like that. And then, soccer wise, we got to the tournament. We made the conference tournament, which was awesome.
That's great.
Yeah. So
and I think, how do you guys always make it to the tournament, or was this like
this was first year. Great accomplishment. Thank you. So, coming from 4 whatever they were last year, to 9-9 or 9-10 with the first round, that's a huge accomplishment. And so we're looking to go forward from here. We don't stop. So next year we're gonna go back. We're gonna work hard. And so we're excited.
That's good.
Yeah. Just keep working on it's almost the basics as well. Not like the U9 basics, but, more possession, work more a little bit on defense. I think we have to work on just the pace of the game a little bit more, stepping a little bit faster. I would like to see the more ball movement, more creativity, more craft. But good first year. Right. So we're still working on things.
To be frank, I think those are, and you'll find, which you are probably finding out right now, those are the easy parts about coaching college. It's like teaching the on the field things, I'm finding, and for all the coaches that are watching this, you guys can comment, give us tips, let us know what you think. Of course, let us know, because
help us out.
Like a first year coach, and even me into my third year, something which I'm still struggling with, and that's recruiting.
Recruiting is tough.
Recruiting. It takes up a lot of your time, and also it's very low yield, especially for small, like we talked about, schools don't have big money to give out on scholarships and things like that. What are some of the strategies that you're using for recruiting for first time coaches, or just coaches that are
my staff
trying to figure it out? Right? Just give it all to them. You guys travel, bring me players. So what are the little things that you're doing?
Little things. I'm really going to like tournaments. I'm into that. Even like going to adult league games. I can find a lot of like young ones, freshmen, sophomores, that are looking. You have to look at the right places. It's kind of tricky. It's all about connections, I would say, though. For these kind of schools, I'm always, texting people. Hey, do you have any girls? It's about communication, connections. I definitly have found it to be really, really hard. Really hard with easy now compared to how small the school is. Again, like scholarships, things like that. So it's just all about connections, really, at this school.
So my last question to you. Second to last, because I actually have the big overall question. My last question to you is like, so what's the best part about it all?
Best part, family. And that's a huge thing that I'm working with the girls too. Chemistry, off the field. Because I think that translates onto the field, and that will help our play as well. And that's my personal opinion. And basically, it's so cool to be a part of a huge thing and trying to accomplish a thing together. And feeling, like we're a huge family. We're going to die together. We're going to survive. We're going to win. We're going to lose, I would say just having another family. I know that sounds
no,
kind of weird, but
I'll be my first year of coaching when I was just a guy. You know what I mean?
Guy,
and we had, and my assistant coach Ayo, he remembers this. You know, we had a thing when the season started where we all wrote down our goals. You know, your top 3 goals, your personal goals and your team goals, and we put them in the basket, and then we all read them out loud, right?
Right.
And it's funny because this is an exercise that me and Ayo did growing up on teams, and with guys, you hear like our goals are like, go undefeated, win the national championship, like score 90 goals. So the girls, I kid you not, like,
oh gosh,
out of we had, I think, 19 girls on the squad at that time. Out of 19 of them, 16 of them, their first goals were bond with the girls like we're family.
See?
Like build lasting relationships. Like I think like winning and all that stuff came like last. Like those were like their supplemental goals. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, this is nuts. Like I never even like growing up, nobody even thought about like, yeah, let's be brothers and sisters. That's the whole point. Which I'm saying it right now in like a joking manner, but
it's important. I
think it's the biggest thing. I think it's the hands down, like you can teach whatever tactics you want. You can have the most fittest team out there. You can have the greatest facilities. You can give them all the money in the world. But if they can't play together, if they don't have that sense of like, we're all working towards this together and we got each other's back, it's all for nothing, man. It's really all for nothing. So I think that's the biggest thing. So like, I just want to say you're miles ahead of the game coming into it with that mentality. And
appreciate it.
That's like our biggest thing in our philosophy. You in bold letters at the end of our contracts, and like our biggest thing in our philosophy is making lastful relationships. That's the one thing we want these girls to come in here and do.
Right. And then of course winning,
of course. But
that's our huge goal. But
if you do these things, winning comes, it's synonymous to it. It'll come. I strongly believe
goes
that.
Together.
I strongly believe that. Because
if you can tell. I mean, the teams that are winning, they're like sisters. You can just tell. They have that chemistry. They have that bond. And I think those are the teams that are winning.
Right. And I feel the most creative, the most not in a vulnerable state, the most confident when I'm with my friends and family. I can be the goofiest I want to be. I can be the smartest I want to be. I can be whatever I want to be when I'm with my friends and family. And I'm usually the happiest, right?
Yep.
And the most productive. So I feel like if you can generate that amongst your team, then you don't have to worry about this player feeling confident or not confident. They'll just gel. They'll feel fine. You make a mistake, your teammates got you. You play great, they got you. You know, all these little things just start to fall in place when that big overall, family like a theme is like the big thing. So for young coaches out there, for even old coaches out there, I think the first thing that you want to do in your philosophy
just let them let them hang out.
Find a way to let them gel. You know, find a way to let them gel. Find a way to have a great rapport, a great relationship with them. Be that coach where it's like, yeah, you're my head coach, but yet I can still come to you with things. You know what I mean? Yes, they definitely need to respect you. Yeah. They definitely need to have a sense of like, respect and you guys aren't on the same plane, but they also still have to be able to approach you. You know, they also still have to feel comfortable and tell you things that they like, that they don't like, because that's the only way, we move forward. And players alike, like you guys have to realize coaches are human beings as well. You know what I mean? They might come off kind of like this or that, but every coach is a human being, and they do have these things where they know, like, I have to understand my players.
Exactly.
Most coaches strive for that, honestly. Even the ones that seem the most hardest, the hard, gritty, just coaches that yell. I think when they all go home, deep down, they look and they think like, did I make connections with my players? Because any coach will tell you that's the only way you succeed as a coach.
Exactly. And it's all about reading your players. And just getting to know them off the field. It's, experience. What do they want to do? Like, it's the little things. It sounds little, but it's a huge thing. And going back to what you said about just kind of getting to know each other on the field. I had some girls this year, to be honest, that just the first couple of days, it was just yapping at each other. And I was like, I can't have that environment. We're not going to win with that environment. I do not tolerate that. I don't tolerate lip. And I don't tolerate people yelling at each other. What does that do to get us better? Nothing. Right? Because they were just screaming at each other. I was like, this is a mess. So that's a huge thing that we're trying to cut out. And they've done a really good job with that. And then there was one more thing I wanted to add that I forget. But I'll probably remember.
Back.
Yeah. Remember.
Yeah. No, but you're right. And I think for coaches, you just got to nip that in the butt. I mean, I've had to get rid of what would be the best, probably future All-Americans, but just because they don't gel with the team.
Right.
They don't have that team camaraderie. So that's big, no matter how great the player is, no matter how great the coach is, if it's not working with the team, got to go.
I agree.
So coaches got to get up. But that's where you really show like your backbone. And that's in those situations is where you really got to be the tough man or woman. And that goes to situations. Because I find lots of coaches where they're stuck in a tight spot because that one player is the best player on the team. You know what I mean? And you're left thinking, like, if I lose this player, I might lose games. I might lose this. But
I'm not, if you don't, like you said, if you don't gel, then, like, I don't care. I don't need you, it would be great to have you, but if you have a poor attitude and if you don't gel with everyone else, then, fix it. Right. You got to fix it, or you're not playing, or you're not happy and you're leaving. I don't know, but I'm trying to get this team better. And if you're kind of in the way, like, to be honest, I don't have time.
And it's a problem that coaches struggle with from the U8s all the way to the highest level of professionals. So, and Real Madrid goes through it with CR7 all the time. It's a big thing. Mourinho and Pogba going through it right now.
Man.
Actually, Mourinho just got fired. So, it happens. Like, if a coach isn't like, it just, whatever it
happens,
is,
you're going to, again, have ups and downs as coaches as well.
Yeah.
But another huge thing is, be approachable. You have to have that connection. So we're working with it, but
that's good.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited to see what happens to you in the future.
Thank you.
I'm definitely excited to come check you out. Like I said, one of the best players which I've ever coached, and I think she's going to do great things for you. You're going to be there next year, so I'm at a keen eye on what's going on. And just thank you so much for coming on the show. Of course. You have some gems of ideas and things that you're implementing. I wish we could talk forever because there's so many other questions that I got to ask you. I would like to ask you, but the last thing is just what's your take home? What's your takeaway point to everybody that's listening? Coaches, players, just whoever. What's your biggest thing out of this whole conversation we just had?
Biggest thing, trust your process. Trust your process. Be confident with it, but also, learn from other coaches as well. How can I even grow? How can I even be better? And take some advice, things from you, like you said, and things like that. Yeah. So allow yourself to grow. Yeah. And just be the best coach you can be.
Great.
And have fun with it.
Yeah.
Don't be so uptight.
Yeah, trust me. I'm working on that part.
Yeah.
Trying to have fun with it, not being so uptight.
Yeah. So no, it's fun though. I really enjoyed my first year.
Good.
So many years to come.
Yeah, no pressure. I expect great things.
Yeah. You too.
I'm working.
Good luck, coach.
Thank you. Good luck to you too. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for inviting me.
Wish you all the luck in the future.
Appreciate it.
And hopefully we'll have you on again.
All right. Awesome. Yeah.